Hi everybody, I'm Sarah Ockwell-Smith, and today I'd like to spend some time talking to you about a question I get asked really often. And that question is, when should I expect my baby to start sleeping through the night? Now obviously as an exhausted new parent, you're desperate for this to happen as soon as possible. And I'm commonly contacted by parents of 5, 6, 7, 8 and 8-month-old babies, and some even older, some toddlers. And they're worried that their baby isn't sleeping through the night. Is that because they've created a problem? Is there something wrong? Have they created bad habits? Often I get contacted by mothers who are breastfeeding who say, have I created this problem by feeding every time that they wake? That's a whole other question altogether that I do in a different video. But for now I want to think about, when should babies sleep through the night? Now, if I did a straw poll of people outside and said, when do you think they sleep through? The answer I'll get is probably somewhere between 3 and 9 months, most commonly. Why is that? Well, that just seems to be the societal expectation. In the UK, the National Health Service quote that babies most of them should be sleeping through the night at 6 months. Now, what's really interesting is that isn't evidence-based. That seems to be almost personally based on opinion. Evidence, however, suggests to us that we should be expecting our babies to be sleeping through the night by somewhere around 2 years of age, so about 24 months. Interestingly, at 9 months of age, which is certainly when, if you have a 9-month-old who wakes at night, people do tend to think that you have a bit of a problem. At 9 months, 2/3 of babies are still waking regularly at night. So where does this idea that they should be sleeping through the night at 3, 4, 5 or 6 months come from? Personally, I believe it's actually coming from the people who gain from having that myth being a pervasive one. So those who write the sleep training books, those who sell the sleep training services, it's in their interest for parents to believe that there is something wrong with their parenting or with their baby, for their babies to be waking at night. It's almost like they have to create a problem, because if there was no problem, there would be no need for their services. But that really isn't true. That's not what science tells us. It tells us that it's very common and very, very normal for babies to wake regularly at night for at least the first couple of years. So the question perhaps we should be asking more is, well, why is that? Well, first of all, because they need to wake regularly because it helps to keep them safe. They have more time in a lighter sleep state, which protects them against SIDS, cot death. Secondly, when we're talking about babies on a milk diet, obviously their tummies are very little and the milk is digested quickly and they need to eat regularly. Perhaps more important, particularly as they get older. 2 reasons. Firstly, as a mammal, like any other mammal on this planet, we are not meant to sleep separated from our babies. Our babies and our toddlers feel safe when they're with us, and they feel insecure when they're not. Just as if any of you have dogs or cats who've had puppies or kittens, obviously the puppies and the kittens sleep in direct contact with the mum. They sleep curled up with her, all in the same basket. That's how we're meant to sleep. In fact, we are the only mammal in this world who tries to put our babies into a separate container, and often even into a separate room. And then we wonder why they wake so often. You know, it doesn't take rocket science to work out. It's because they need, physiologically and emotionally, that contact with us to help them to feel safe and secure enough to sleep. Now, the last answer to this question is actually, when should babies sleep through the night? The real answer is never. We don't sleep through the night. Nobody sleeps through the night. We all sleep in different cycles. As an adult, our sleep cycle is about 1.5 hours long. So most adults will have about 5 or 6 sleep cycles every night. That means there are 5 or 6 times they might wake in the night. Babies, however, their sleep cycles are around about half of the length of ours. So on the average night of about 12 hours, our babies could expect to have 15 different sleep cycles. What does that mean? It means they might wake 15 times every night. Now, on those 15 occasions when they come to the end of a sleep cycle before they start another one, when they might wake, anything that could alert or alarm them might cause them to wake and cry for parental presence, if the parent obviously isn't right next to them. If they are, then what you'll probably find is that they will still need a little bit more input, such as feeding. So if there's something not right in the world, if they're uncomfortable, if they're hungry, if they're cold, if they're hot, if they're thirsty, if they're scared, or whatever, they're going to need parental input to get back to sleep. So perhaps the real question should be, when do babies stop needing so much parental input to transition between sleep cycles? Now, actually the answer to that is still some point after 2 years, but it really helps to put into perspective that night waking is a perfectly normal and healthy thing for babies to do. It's also a normal and perfectly healthy thing for adults to do. Nobody sleeps through the night. So the real answer to this question, when do babies sleep through the night, is actually never. Thank you.